I first met in person with Mary E. in the summer of 2007. I had arranged with her husband of 15 years, Terrence, to see her for an interview. Mary had initially agreed since I was not a newsman but rather an amateur writer gathering information for a few early college assignments and, if all went according to plan, some pieces of fiction. We scheduled the interview for a particular weekend when I was in Chicago on unrelated business, but at the last moment, Mary changed her mind and locked herself in the couple's bedroom, refusing to meet me for half an hour. I sat with Terrence as we camped outside the bedroom door. I listened and taking notes while he attempted fruitlessly to calm his wife. The things Mary said made little sense, but fit with a pattern I was expecting. Though I could not see her, I could tell from her voice that she was crying, and more often than not, her objections to speaking with me centered around an incoherent diatribe on her dreams, her nightmares. Terrence apologized profusely when we ceased the exercise, and I did my best to take it in stride. Recall that I wasn't a reporter in search of a story, but merely a curious young man in search of information. Besides, I thought at the time I could perhaps find another similar case if I put my mind and resources to it. Mary E. was the size sub for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1992 when she first encountered Smile.jpg, and her life changed forever. She and Terrence had been married for only 5 months. Mary was one of an estimated 400 people who saw the image when it was posted as a hyperlink on the PBS, though she is the only one who has spoken openly about the experience. The rest have remained anonymous or perhaps dead. In 2005, I was only in 10th grade. Smile.jpg was first brought to my attention by my burgeoning interest in web-based phenomena. Mary was the most often cited victim of what is sometimes referred to as Smile Dog. The being Smile.jpg is reputed to display what caught my interest other than the obvious macabre elements of the cyber legend of and my pro-civility towards such things was the sheer lack of information, usually to the point that people don't believe it even exists other than as a rumor or hoax. It is unique because though the entire phenomenon centers on a picture file, that file is nowhere to be found on the internet. Certainly many photo manipulated simulacra little the web showing up with a most frequency on sites such as the image board 4chan, particularly the dash s dash x dash focus paranormal subboard. It is suspected these are fakes because they don't have the effect the true small.jpg is believed to have, namely sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. This purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons the phantom-like smile.jpg is regarded with such disdain, since it is patiently absurd through depending on whom you may ask. The reluctant to acknowledge smile.jpg's existence might be just as much out of fear as it is out of disbelief. Neither smile.jpg nor smile.dog is mentioned anywhere on Wikipedia, though the website features articles on such other, perhaps more scandalous shock sites such as blank hello.jpg or Two Girls One Cup. Any attempt to create a page pertaining to smile.jpg is summarily deleted by any of the encyclopedia's many admins. Encounters with smile.jpg are the stuff of internet legend. Mary E's story is not unique. There are unverified rumors of smile.jpg showing up in the early days of Usenet, and even one persistent tale that in 2002 a hacker flooded the forums of humor and satire websites, something awful with a deluge of small dog pictures, rendering the almost half the forum's users at the time epileptic. It is also said that in the mid to late 90s that smile.jpg circulated on Usenet, and as an attachment of a chain email with the subject line "Smile, God loves you." Yet, despite the huge exposure these stunts would generate, there are very few people who admit to having experienced any of them, and no trace of a file or any link have ever been discovered. Those who claim to have seen smile.jpg often weekly joke that they were far too busy to save a copy of the picture to their hard drive. However, all alleged victims offered the same description of the photo: a dog-like creature, usually described as apparently similar to a Siberian husky, illuminated by a flash of the camera, sits in a dim room, only the background detail that is visible being a human hand extending from the darkness near the left side of the frame. The hand is empty, but is usually described as beckoning. Of course, most attention is given to the dog or creature, as some victims are more certain than others about what they claim to have seen. The muzzle of the beast is repeatedly split in a wide grin, revealing 2 rows of very white, very straight, very sharp human-like teeth, very human-looking teeth. This is, of course, not a description given immediately after viewing the picture, but rather a recollection of the victims who have claimed to have seen the picture endlessly repeated in their mind's eye during the time they are in reality. Having epileptic fits, these fits are reported to continue indeterminably, often while the victims sleep, resulting in very vivid and disturbing nightmares. These may be treated with medication, though in some sense it is more effective than others. Mary E., I assumed, was not on effective medication. That was why, after my visit to her apartment in 2007, I sent out feelers to several folklore and urban legend oriented news groups, websites, and mailing lists, hoping to find the name of the supposed victim of Smile.jpg, who felt more interested in talking about his experience for a time. Nothing happened, and at length I forgot completely about my pursuits since I had begun my freshman year of college and was quite busy. Mary contacted me via email, however, near the beginning of March 2008 to blank from blank subject last summer's interview. Dear Mr. L., I am incredibly sorry about my behavior last summer when you came to interview me. I hope you understand that it was no fault of yours, but rather my own problems that led me to act out as I did. I realized that I could have handled the situation more decorously. However, I hope you will forgive me. At the time, I was afraid. You see, for 15 years, I have been haunted by Smile.jpg. Smile. Comes to me in my sleep every night. I know that sounds silly, but it is true. There is an inevitably quality about my dreams and my nightmares that makes them completely unlike any real dreams I have ever had. I do not move it, do not speak. I simply look ahead, and the only thing ahead of me is the scene from that horrible picture. I see the beckoning hand, and I see a smile dog. It talks to me. It's not a dog, of course, though I am not quite sure what it really is. It tells me it will leave me alone if only I do as it asks. All I must do is it says is spread the word. That is how it phrases its demands, and I know exactly what it means. It wants me to show it to someone else. And I could the week after my incident, I received email a manila envelope with no return address. Inside was only a 3.5-inch floppy diskette. Without having to check, I knew precisely what was on it. I thought for a long time about my options. I could show it to a stranger, a coworker. I could even show it to Terrence, as much as the idea disgusted me. And what would happen then? Well, if Smile Dog kept its word, I could sleep. Yet if it lied, what would I do? And who was to say some words would not come for me if I did as the creature asked? So I did nothing for 15 years while I kept the diskette hidden amongst my things. Every night for 15 years, Small Dog has come to me in my sleep and demanded that I spread the word. For 15 years, I have stood strong, though there has been hard times. Many of my fellow victims on the BBS board where I first encountered Small Dog JPEG stopped posting. I heard some of them committed unalivement. Others remain completely silent, simply disappearing off the face of the web. They are the ones I worry about the most. I sincerely hope you will forgive me, Mr. L, but last summer when you contacted me and my husband about an interview, I was near the breaking point. I decided I was going to give you the floppy diskette. I did not care if Small Dog was lying or not. I wanted it to end. You were a stranger, someone I had no connection with, and I thought I would not feel sorrow when you took the diskette as part of your research and sealed your fate. Before you arrived, I realized what I was doing was plotting to ruin your life. I could not stand the thought, and in fact, I still cannot. I am ashamed, Mr. L, and I hope that this warning will dissuade you from further investigation of Smile.jpg. You may in some time encounter someone who is, if not weaker than I, then wholly more depraved, someone who will not hesitate to follow Small Dog's orders. Stop while you're still whole. Sincerely, Mary E. Terrence contacted me later that month with the news that her wife had unalived herself while cleaning up the various things she left behind, closing email accounts and the like. He happened upon the above message. He was a man of shambles. He wept as he told me to listen to his wife's advice. He found the diskette he revealed and burned it until it was nothing but a sinking pile of blackened plastic. The part that most disturbed him, however, was how the diskette had hissed as it melted like some sort of animal, he said. I will admit that I was a little uncertain about how to respond to this. At first, I thought perhaps it was a joke with the couple belatedly playing with the situation in order to get a rise out of me. A quick check of several Chicago newspapers on obituaries, however, proved that Mary was indeed dead. There was, of course, no mention of unalivement in the article. I decided that for a time at least I would not ever pursue the subject of Smile.jpg, especially since I had finals coming up at the end of May. But the world has odd ways of testing us. Almost a full year after I'd returned from my disastrous interview with Mary E., I received another email to blank from blank, subject Smile. Hello, I found your email address through a mailing list. Your profile said that you were interested in Smile Dog. I saw it. It is not as bad as everyone says. I've sent it to you here, just spreading the word. Smile. The final line chilled me to the bone. According to my email client, there was an online file attached naturally called Smile.jpg. I considered downloading it for some time. It was mostly likely a fake. I imagined, and even if it weren't, I was never wholly convinced of Smile.jpg's particular powers. Mary E's account had shaken me, yes, but she was probably mentally unbalanced anyway. After all, how could a simple image do what Smile.jpg was said to accomplish? What sort of creature was if I could break one's mind with only the powers of the eyes. And if such things were patiently absurd, then why did the legend exist at all? If I downloaded the image, if I looked at it, and if Mary turned out to be correct, if Small Dog came to me in my dreams demanding I spread the word, what would I do? What would I live my life as Mary had, fighting against the urge to give in until I died? Or would I simply spread the word, eager to be put to rest? And if I chose the latter route, how could I do it? Whom would I burden in turn? If I went through the earlier intention to write a short article about Smile.jpg, I decided I could attach it as evidence, and anyone who read the article, anyone who took interest would be affected, and even assuming the Smile Dog JPEG attached to the email was genuine, I would be captious enough to save myself in that manner. Could I spread the word? Yes. Yes, I could. Well, guys, this has been episode 5. Sorry if this was long. I've been busy with streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/wolfofgaming21. And I've been busy in my personal life. I'm sorry if this was long, and I'm sorry that I didn't get time to do this. I'm genuinely sorry about not doing this for a while, but I'm glad I got time to do this after I got done streaming. I hope you take care. Post-mortem, Corey Reed's Horror, and episode 6 will be soon. Oh, and also check out Chopping Us. Oh, and also check out W Energy. Use code Corey Platt at checkout. And I'll link everything down in the description below. My Twitch, my other channels, my Discord server for my Discord server, and also W Energy. This has been Corey signing off, and love you all.